Welcome to High Returns for Real Estate Investors, Chicagoland Real Estate. I'm Melinda Cabanilla, and today I am joined by Stuart Kessler, who is attorney at law. And Stuart, can you tell us a little bit about you and your business?
Okay, I am Stuart Kessler. I'm the senior partner at Kessler and Kiernan. Our firm is strictly a real estate law firm. We represent sellers, we represent buyers. We have represented banks on REO sales. We've also represented buyers of REO sales, and we do conventional work as well. I've been an attorney this week. It'll be 44 years.
Wow, congratulations.
And thanks. And I'd say that over 20 years of it has been strictly real estate. So.
Wonderful. So, this is a topic that comes up with investors, which are the majority of my clients. And one of them, the questions is, when you're talking about an investment property and you're purchasing something as is, in the scheme of things, what does that exactly equate to?
Well, actually, the word as is exactly what it is. In the contract form that we use now for real estate deals, it basically says that, and it says specifically that the buyer acknowledges that no representations, warranties, or guarantees with respect to the condition of the properties of the property have been made by the seller or the agent. It's strictly as is. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't get out of an as-is contract. Mm-hmm. As with all real estate contracts, attorneys have 5 business days from the day the seller signed the contract to send an inspection, to send an inspection letter. So the buyers will still have an inspection done.
Yeah, I think that's the other topic that comes up is if it's as is. And I think I actually hear this from other brokers that, I say, we're going to do the inspection. They're like, no, you're getting it as is. But it's true. You can still get an inspection. But
the contract calls for an inspection.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it says in the event the inspection reveals that the condition of the real estate is unacceptable to the buyer, and the buyer so notifies the seller within 5 business days after the date of acceptance, this contract shall be null and void. So it gives, if the inspection's bad, you can still get out of the contract.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's also the attorney review provision that allows you 5 business days to get out from the time the seller signed the contract.
Right.
But it's critical that the buyers have an inspection,
Yeah. And now I do, the other thing is when you have an as-is inspection, and this is as-is and having the inspection, can you still ask for disclosures?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. They have to give you the disclosures.
Because some people
that's a critical piece of this. I mean, we've had cases where we've had to go back after a seller after a closing, even because the disclosure was faulty.
Right. So, okay. That's good to know. And what else should investors look for when purchasing an investment property to look out for during the
if it's multi-unit property, the current Illinois contract form for real estate is called a 7.0 contract. Mm-hmm. And that contract specifically has a multi-unit addendum. And what that calls for is that the seller has to provide, if you'll give me a second just to find this again here, complete copies of all of the existing leases, a rent roll setting forth the names, contact phone numbers, and addresses of each tenant, and the date upon which the seller received all payments due from the tenants for the past 365 days, and copies of any and all notices which the seller has sent to the tenant regarding late payments or other violations over the past 365 days. So the buyer is allowed to see all the correspondence between the landlord and the tenant over the last 365 days regarding the rent. The rent roll is critical because you want to know how much money's been collected, what the security deposit was, is it Section 8 property? Mm-hmm. We, in our firm, when we find out a Section 8 property, we add some items to this addendum requiring that the seller sign whatever state forms are required to transfer the Section 8 handling of the property to the buyer. We were very great about dotting I's and crossing T's with this stuff.
Yes,
We've,
yes. It sounds like it.
yeah, we've closed thousands of real estate deals. So
How many on average do you close a year?
probably now somewhere between 500 and 600.
That's wonderful.
At one time when the REO market was crazy, we were up around 15, 1600 a
Oh
year.
my gosh. That's
So, but we have the staff to do it, so.
okay. That's good. I was like, how are you doing that?
Well, we do it with attorneys, basically. I mean, a lot of firms, and I'm going to pat us on the back a little bit, a lot of firms use paralegals to access. We have wonderful paralegals. However, the contact with you're paying for an attorney, so you should get an attorney, and that's our attitude with our firm. We're pretty old school because, as you can tell by the silver on the roof here, I'm a little old, so,
You look great.
thank you.
I do have one other question just off the cuff. How has your business changed since COVID? As far as closings go.
Well, COVID's changed everything from the realtor standpoint. As you know, if the property's vacant, you can still show the property. If it's not vacant, you have to do it by a virtual showing.
Mhm.
As far as the closings go, it's almost become like a drive-through restaurant sometimes. The title companies have told the agents, stay home. We don't want you at the closing. The sellers themselves generally, we normally don't have our sellers at closings anyway. If we're representing the seller, we have them pre-sign all the documents. But the sellers aren't there. The seller's attorneys generally are no longer there at the closings because of COVID. We mail the packages in and make ourselves available by Zoom or by phone. If we're the buyer's attorney, we try to get the package, the mortgage package sent to us before the closing so that we can review it with our client and okay them signing it. Most of the title companies will allow a buyer's attorney to come up, but they will sit in a separate room. They will not sit in the same room with the closer. They will not sit in the same room with their client.
Wow.
Some of the title companies are having the buyers actually sign the papers in their cars.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they'll take their driver's license from them so they can make a copy and be able to notarize the documents, but they're handing the buyers the packages and having them sign them in the cars. But the closings are going on. It's just a lot more difficult than it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
As
it
far
gets
as,
done. I mean, our job's still to hold the deals together.
right.
The problem we're seeing with COVID, however, is some deals have been canceled because buyers' employment status has changed and lender and they can no longer qualify for some of the loans. So
Right.
that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest negative right now is some of the deals are falling out because of financing
Yeah.
or being postponed until they get their jobs back.
Right. That's too bad. That's too
But
bad.
but real estate is an essential service in Illinois. Closings are. In some,
Yeah.
I was just on a call this afternoon with people representing almost every state in the country. Some of the states cannot do closings
Really.
because it's non-essential. It's not considered an essential industry. Illinois is in the majority in that closings in real estate can still go on.
Wow. Well, that's good that that's still essential. I think there's
Yeah.
a lot of people that are happy to hear that so that they can close their properties.
Well, and you like it and I like it too. So,
We can keep working.
right? Yeah.
Thank you so much, Stuart, for joining me today. And I appreciate you taking your time to spend a little time talking about your business. If you are a CEO and you'd like to share your story as well, please DM me on Facebook. And I will be putting all of Stuart's information below. Stuart, what is the best way people can get a hold of you?
Well, my cell phone is 847-668-2564, and we do cover the entire state of Illinois. My email address is Stuart, and that's Stuart at KESSLERKEIRNAN.com. And our website is www.kesslerkiernan.com, the same two names that are in my email address.
Wonderful. Thank you so, so much. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to call Stuart. And I appreciate you taking your time.
No, thank you for your time too. And anybody who sees this, I'm available 24/7, which is, much to my wife's chagrin
Very
sometimes.
nice.
Uh-huh.
That's very nice of you to be available so much.
Well, my wife's used to the calls in the middle of the night. You know, buyers get cold feet with real estate. Sometimes buyer gets cold feet in the middle of the night, and we got to hold hands a lot. So,
Well, I guess that's great to hear that you do that with your clients. So
old school stuff. So,
thank
thanks.
you so much. And we will talk to you soon. Thank you,
All
Stuart.
right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye.